Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today we're going to pick up a very cheap Mini that I've just agreed to buy. And when I say cheap, I mean really cheap. Super cheap. I've paid just £300 for this, so not only is it Mini in name, it's also Mini in price. I bought this from a car trader friend of mine as part of a larger package of cars, and it's been described to me as being a little tired. Not quite sure what that means. Initially that description excited me because I thought it might not need an awful lot spending on it just to tart it up a little bit and make it look quite presentable. But then the more I've been thinking, a little tired might mean that it wants putting out of its misery. Oh well, we'll soon find out, won't we? As I've mentioned in many videos previously, I'm not a huge Mini fan, but I thought at £300 can't really go wrong. It's a 2004, it's done around 95,000 miles, and it isn't a Cooper, it's a 1. It's a Mini 1, so it's quite a low spec. So I'm expecting plastic steering wheel, cloth seats, no air conditioning, all that sort of stuff. But on the bright side, less to go wrong. Many years ago, my brother used to have one of these. He had a Mini 1, and I always enjoyed using it. Although saying that, I was always happy to give the keys back. But still, they are quite good fun when they're working. Anyway, let's go and have a look, shall we? I'll see you there. Well, we're here. I mean, it was £300, so I'm not going to start complaining, but it does look a little bit unloved. A bit tired, one might say. I'd forgotten this actually, but it comes with that plate. Now I know it's not worth an awful lot of money, V99 Whiskey Julia X-Ray, but it's got to be worth a couple £100, hasn't it? So if I could take that plate off and restore it to its 04, not only would it look better, but I've got a free plate. Well, I've got a plate that owes me £80. I think I'll do that, you know. It's got alloys, which are very grubby. The bodywork looks like I've painted it in the dark with a brush. But, I mean, £300. What do you want? It's got Go Faster stripes. I could be wrong now, but if that's the 1.6, which I think it is, that's 90 horsepower. But they're that grippy, those cars. You can just floor it everywhere you go. They're just really good fun to drive. Right, as always, then before I show you around it, we're going to do a vehicle history check using Car Vertical. Now, I should have done this before, really, but because of its low value and the fact that I bought it in a package of 6 other cars, I didn't bother. Let's find out a bit more about it then. So all you do is go to carvertical.com, type in the reg or the VIN. Now, in this case, it is Victor 99 Whiskey Julia X-Ray. Check vehicle. Now this is currently checking database in 35 different countries and it checks hundreds of millions of cars. So it'll tell us whether it's ever been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback or has outstanding finance on it. If you want to do one of these checks for yourself, and I urge you to do so before you hand over any cash for a used car or bike, don't be like me, do it before you buy it, then you'll save yourself 20% if you use my promo code HIGHPEAK. That's HIGHPEAK, all one word. May as well turn this off then. The old 5.4 litre V8 isn't the best for the environment and it isn't that economical. Right, the report's ready then. So, it's never been clocked. Ah, this is why it was cheap. It's never been clocked. This is a good example, actually. Never been clocked. There's no outstanding finance on it, but it has been involved in a recorded accident. So that is on the hit list. It's never been stolen though, so still, good news about that. At its last MOT, which was October last year, done 93,000 miles. So the miles are nice and consistent. That's quite low for a... Oh, it's 20 years old, that car now. If we scroll down here to damage, then it's given us a warning, an amber warning. This vehicle was damaged. This vehicle was marked as an insurance write-off. If we scroll down a bit further, in January 2013, it was a Cat D write-off. So it was repairable, but it exceeded the value due to additional expenses. Right. See, that check has just paid for itself, really. The thing is, for me personally, I've paid £300 for this. I bought it off a trader friend of mine as part of a package of cars, like I said. So I can't really go back now and whinge and say, oh, you didn't tell me it was a Cat D. What's it going to do? What's it worth? Knock me £50 off? It's not worth complaining. I think I'll just take it on the chin. And at £300, I still can't go wrong, even if it has been whacked. Park it in Bay 11, my birth date. Very sensitive sensors in this. Let's go and have a look then. First bit of bad news, it's only got the Juan key, just the Juan. That's it, not 2. It's like a Rover style key that, isn't it? Like you get in a 75. Okay then, what can I see? I can see some damage here on this rear panel. Down here somewhere. Some of that would buff and the dent would pop out. But on a car that's already been whacked, probably not worth going to town on, is it? I think what I'll do with this is just clean it up, take the plates off, and then see if it'll pass an MOT and a service. and then sell it cheap, I guess. It'd do for somebody, wouldn't it? Onto tyres then. So the alloys will clean up. We've got this is a new one on me, a Crystal from a company called Montero. Yeah, no, never heard of that. It's on about 3 mil of tread though, so that's not too bad. All the paintwork's very flat and dull. I'm not sure exactly where it had its whack, but I suspect on the front end, because the paintwork on the front end is a bit orange peely. Oh, in fact, that's an insult to orange peels. This is terrible. Up front have we got another Crystal here? No, no. This one is a Rootway Eco Blue RY26. No expense spared there. We've got Go Faster stripes there, making the most of its 90 horsepower. Yeah, it's definitely had a front end whack then, I think. The bumper is not sitting right, and the bonnet's definitely been painted. So yeah, using my skills there, I would say that's the case. We've got a matching Eco Blue RY26 Rootway on the front, on about 4.5 mil of tread. That's pretty good. Got a chunk here out the A-pillar. This little Mini's got nits. It's been keyed down this side. The rear arch is all scratched, like Sean Connery. On the back then we've got this is a treat for me really, because I've got 3 unknown tyre brands that I've never heard of before. This is a Conforza CF610 on about 5 mil of tread. Moving around the back, we've got more damaged paintwork. It's like a chalkboard. That's missing shouldn't that have a lens on? That's weird, isn't it? That's strange. Someone's fitted the plates with wood screws. Very nice. Yeah, right. Well, for £300, what do you want? Does my remote locking work? Nope. How bad's the inside? Very bad actually. The door won't stay open either. Right, what can I tell you? Let's go around the back then, because somebody's dropped the rear seats. Boot struts are fine. We've got the parcel shelf, so that's all good. The lads at the car wash are going to love me, aren't they? I think though, joking aside, with £15 worth of mini valet and some fresh plates, it will look alright. I mean, the seats aren't worn or anything, they're not ripped, it's just very, very dirty and grubby. Got more orange peel inside, look at this. Orange peel everywhere. On the bonnet, on the floor. Looks like some sort of dirty protest. Let's have a look under the bonnet then, shall we? Wasn't much resistance there. And I'm thinking with all these layers of paint, oh dear, that doesn't sound good, does it? Right, I'd forgotten, but on a mini bonnet, the whole thing lifts up. It's all very grubby under here. These engines aren't great either. They suffer with timing chain issues. Often they have oil leaks from the rocker cover gasket around there. So when we start this up, after we've been driving for 5 minutes, if it stinks of oil, we'll know we've got a leak. There was an advisory item actually on the last MOT for an oil leak, so it wouldn't surprise me. I'm just trying to look for any signs of accident damage. There's nothing obvious actually. I mean, if this has been bumped when it was 10 years old, it could have been quite a minor impact and they'd have still written it off. So I'm not unduly concerned, not for £300 anyway. Oh, we've got a nice Pioneer head unit there. Might take that out and treat my Berlingo to a new stereo. You could probably break this car for more, couldn't you? It's just flashed up there to say it's 6,000 miles overdue a service. Have we got any history? Let's have a look, shall we? Obviously, I'm trying not to show names and addresses here of the previous owner. Yeah, it's been a local car. Ah, right. The original plate then was LS04 UBY. Fun fact for you all. That obviously means it was registered in the London area when it was brand new. So, there's a receipt here from a Saab specialist in Huddersfield at 80,000 miles, and it's on 96 for a minor service. Carry out oil and filter service as required. But there were a few advisory items here. Let me show you this. Near side front wiper misaligned, front number plate cracked, front indicator spelt wrong, indicator discoloured, front wipers smearing, antifreeze concentration incorrect, brake fluid requires changing, both lens cover right. Enough negativity there. Let's move on to the service book. It's quite a bit of history here, actually. Who'd have thought it? So it was first registered at Heathrow Limited. Is that right? There's a BMW dealer at the airport? Or in that general area? Right, so it's got quite good history. HRO in Heathrow at 9, 24 and 40. It changed to Bury Heathrow then, right. Okay. Then we've got another one here in Oldham. Can't read the writing there. 2013 at 64. So it's only gone 30,000 miles in its last 10 years. And it had a service at 80. So the history isn't appalling, to be honest. It's not that bad. I've seen worse. Genuinely, looking at its condition, I didn't expect it to have any. So the fact it's got some isn't too bad. We've got the V5 there, so I can take the plate off. It's just all very grubby. I mean, who keeps the car in this condition? Look at that. They're feral, aren't they, some people? Someone's been munching away on those very sickly lint balls. That looks like a Bakewell tart tray. I know that from my days of being chubby. We've got some sugar there. I don't know an awful lot about the previous owner, apart from the fact that they've now probably got diabetes. City centre car there. Hair everywhere. Yeah, it's not very nice, is it, this? But with a mini valet, it should clean up all right. Let's fire up, shall we? We've got no air conditioning. Oh, but we do have a leather steering wheel. Sounds all right. Right, what radio station were they listening to? Let's have a look. Oh, my song. Perry from Little Mix. It's just one of those songs that just get stuck in your head. Anyway, right. CD? Come on, give me some treasure. I've been using my SL recently, which has only got a CD player, so I'm desperately looking for some CDs. I just don't know where you'd find CDs from these days. Right. Should we get this on the road then? In fact, no. In order to take this plate off this car, I've got to register it in my name. So, of course, that means add another owner to it, but on a £300 Cat D Mini, that doesn't really matter. So I'll transfer it to my name, sawn it, and then when the logbook comes back, I'll be able to pay the £80 and take the plate off. It's quite a straightforward procedure. I'll do that first, and then we'll get it on the road. Right, let me change owner then. I know this won't interest you at all, but... So, in fact, some of you might be intrigued, mightn't you? So, you just go to the DVLA website. In fact, it's even easier than that. All you do is Google DVLA change owner online. There we go. Tell DVLA you've sold a vehicle. Now, what I'm going to do is, yes, I'm a motor trader. Yes, sold a vehicle out of the trade. Provide my details. It's so easy in this country to do this. You know, when I used to live in Spain, if you wanted to change the owner of a car, not only would you have to pay a percentage of the car's value, not what you paid, by the way, percentage of what they told you it was worth, you'd have to go to like a lawyer's office, gestoria, and then provide all the paperwork for the car, the MOT equivalent, all that sort of stuff. In addition to that, you'd have to go with the seller of the car while they provided all their IDs and all that stuff. But you'd also have to take your rental contract for the property you lived in, or what was it now? Rental contract or the deeds for your house, just to prove that you were who you said you were and you lived where you said you lived. Whereas right now, I could honestly, genuinely put this in the name of Rishi Sunak, 10 Downing Street, and a logbook would arrive in his name with no ID or anything. I mean, it's 2 lakhs really, isn't it? So you type in the reg number and the document reference number off the front of the logbook, and then I'm going to put this in my name. So Matthew Goodwin. My postcode is, I'm not telling you, use today's date, confirm new keeper, job done. There we go. So this car is now in my name. So in 5 days' time, I'll get the logbook back and I'll be able to take the plate off it. I'm now officially the proud owner of a Mini 1 Cat D. with a hand-painted bonnet. Aren't I doing well in life? Let's get this on the road then. I thought I heard water sloshing around then. That'll be the second car. A third car to have done that, but it wasn't. It was my imagination. Got a slight vibration then from maybe a heat shield or exhaust mount or something. Can you hear that? It's quite warm in here with no aircon. Still, there's not a single warning light on, not even the fuel light, which is unusual for an old Mini. I mean, with a clean-up, it will be quite a clean car. I'm just looking at the headline, it's not all abused, it's all right. How do I control my mirrors? Oh, they work. I'm expecting this to be all vague and loose and knocking, and I'm also expecting a potent oil smell as soon as we get up to temp. Fan works. Well, the clutch feels all right, and I got as far as 4th gear there and there were no crunches. That's quite a common issue in this era of Mini. You'll either get a crunch on the gearbox or a whine from the bearings. Oh yes, foot to the board. Drives all right, this, you know. They are quite good fun. As much as I slate them when they're working, they are good fun to drive. Can't take that away from them. Another issue with these is the power steering, but again, this seems to be all right. Wow, that was an eyeful, wasn't it? A Chrysler 300C, wrapped in a appalling colour. The colour I would describe as looks like a puddle at a petrol station, that sort of colour. Oh yes. Something about a Mini, it just makes you drive like you're 17. 17 again. That's Zac Efron. Brakes are all right. This actually is a far better car than it looks. I think we're going to take it to the car wash for a mini valet, get it looking a little bit better. I'll order the correct plates, LS04 Ubi, Lusubi Luby Luby Luby. Then I shall run it to my mechanics and wait for them to condemn it. They might not though, you know. I mean, it's got an MOT till October. What are we in now? May? Although it's June next week. If I could get this to pass another MOT, that was my fault, that. Couldn't find 3rd, but I went for 5th. If I could get this to pass another MOT and do a fresh oil change on it, got to be worth £1,000, doesn't it? I think anything with a long MOT these days is worth £1,000. That would do, wouldn't it? I've got a free plate and a little bit of profit. And the people at the car wash have got lots of orange peel there for the compost. This drives all right, you know. Quite pleased. Do my windows work? Oh yes. Sorry, nearly lost you then. This isn't the end of the world. Right, I think we've seen enough then for now. Let me spin around. I'll go and drop this off at the car wash. It does actually feel quicker than you'd imagine for a 90 horsepower car. You sit quite low to the ground. They are proper little driver's cars, these. I know they're only front wheel drive, but still. The interior's a little bit rattly and creaky, but it's 20 years old. What do you expect? Quite like the horn buttons as well. Shouldn't really be doing that on a Sunday morning, should I? I'm actually quite excited to see what this looks like once it's had its £15 mini valet. I think it'll be transformed. You know what? I mean, I was just thinking then, if I went onto eBay or something, I bet I could find a black bonnet for about £100. One that didn't have the texture and appearance of an orange peel. It's an idea, isn't it? It's an idea. Saying that, where do you draw the line? It's a Cat B car, isn't it, at the end of the day? A 20-year-old Cat B Mini. I think the best thing to do is make sure it's safe and then just sell it cheap. I think somebody must have spent some money on this car mechanically over the years, because a 20-year-old one of these wouldn't normally be running as well as this, with a gearbox that actually still functions and doesn't snap, crackle and pop. Okay then, let's get ready to run off quickly. Oh, there's one in front of me here, in Old English white. Where's the main man? Hello, you alright? Can I have a mini valet for me? I'm good, how are you?
Thank you.
Very good. Can I have a mini valet for me, please?
Mini valet?
For me, please, yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
I'll leave it here. Right, give me a couple of days then, I'll have an update for you. Hopefully with good news. Hopefully. Stranger things have happened, haven't they? Just leave these for these lads, and then I shall run off. And we're back in my cheap Mini 1. And something weird happened. You ready for this? I didn't massively overspend. It actually didn't need an awful lot doing. So after we last spoke, I took it down to the car wash because it was pretty minging actually. It's pretty dirty. So I left it there for a mini valet, which was £15 well spent. Then I picked it up from there and took it down to my mechanics. And my mechanic's always busy, to be fair, but after a couple of days I called to chase for it. And he said, oh, we haven't got around to it yet, but I've used it for the last 2 lunchtimes to nip out to get all the sandwiches for all the lads. And it drives all right, so I don't think you've got anything to worry about. So I thought, well, as they say in Yorkshire, rate do. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. But anyway, it was a right result. It just gave me a bit of confidence. I mean, I thought it drove all right, really, for a 20-year-old Mini. But, you know, sometimes cars catch you out. Quite often, actually. A couple more days passed where nothing really happened, but I got the logbook back in my name. So then I paid £80 to take the V99 WJX plate off it. So that is now mine, I own that plate. Might stick it on eBay or something, actually. It's got to be worth 200 or 300 quid, hasn't it? But that, of course, meant that I could put the original plates back on the car. LS04 UBY, old Luby Lou. So I ordered a set of plates and fitted those, and I think it looks better. I think you've got to be careful with private plates because sometimes cars look better without them. And I think this is an example of that. It just looks fresher. A couple more days passed of me taking cars to my mechanics which were more pressing, more urgent, so this just got shoved to the back of the queue, which is often the case. I've got cars down there that I've had for a year in some cases, where I haven't finished the video just because there's always something more pressing. Especially if it's a sold car with a decent profit margin, I want to get that one prepared first. If it's just a little video car like this, it doesn't really matter, does it? Anyway, this morning, I've just been to collect it. It's crying out for some fuel, so I'm going to have to stop for some. But it's all ready. I went up to my mechanic's office as well just to check the bill. I know it didn't need an awful lot, but I was just praying for a cheap one. And it was, really. I've taken a photograph of it. I always pay my bills on a Friday. I haven't paid my bill yet. But I've got a photograph of it, so I'll talk you through exactly what it had. Basically, it needed a set of wipers and not an awful lot else. They've done a service on it, a clean MOT with not a single advisory item. They mentioned something about an oil leak, but it looked like it had been there for a while, so they've cleaned it all off, and they've told me just to keep my eye on it. And that's pretty much it. What I'm going to do next is run it back down to the car wash, because it's all dirty from a mechanic's yard, and then take some photographs of it. And I suppose then my job's done. I've just got to find a new home for it. But I don't know what it's worth. I was thinking 995, maybe 1295. Maybe 1495, I don't know. I don't want to be too greedy because it is a Cat D car and it is 20 years old. But still, I mean, it's a car that drives okay. It's done less than 100,000 miles with 12 months MOT, so it is still worth something to somebody, isn't it? We're not far now from my infamous little spot where I pull up and talk you through all my costs, so that's what we'll do next. Actually, let me know in the comments below what you think I should retail this car for. How much would you be happy to pay for it? Let me know. Well, here we are. Oh dear. Someone's knocked my bin over. I expected that bin to be like a post box where it goes into the ground about 4 foot, but that isn't the case. Knock my engine off then. Right, let me get my costs up. So I paid just £300 for this car, so let's start off with that. £300 for the car, £15 for a set of plates, £15 for a mini valet, £15 for another mini valet. I know you think this is a waste of money, but, well, it is, but it's just how I do things. What else? What else? Oh, my mechanic's bill, the big one. So it had an MOT test fee, that was £40. It needed various bulbs, £12, oil filter, oil, 3 wiper blades. Oh, that's right, there was a fault with the rear washers, so it wasn't squirting out. So that was fixed, rectify fault with rear washers, labour £100. So my grand total was £279.40. £279.40. Now, I was quite pleased with that bill because it was a lot less than I was thinking. But thinking about it, it was almost the purchase price of the car again on top. I could have saved some money and done it myself, but I haven't got time for that. So this car, in case you're wondering, owes me the princely sum of £624.40. Cheap car, isn't it, really? I mean, I always knew it was cheap at 300 quid. I know I couldn't really go wrong with it. So yeah, 625 quid, basically. I've got to be able to double my money, haven't I, really? 12.95, should that be the figure? Without being too greedy? Right. Well, I think that's about it then, isn't it? So as always, thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. What a dreary day up here today. Where was I? Oh yeah, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. I'll leave the links below. And yeah, see you next time. Cheers guys. See ya.